I reincarnate as an ant, and not just any ant, but the weakest of workers. The moment I crawl out of my egg, I can't help but curse out loud. In my past life, I was the greatest alchemy grandmaster in the cultivation world, even if I'd been reborn as a dog. I could have cultivated the demon path, but ants live and die within a day, their lifespan barely 3 months. How the hell am I supposed to cultivate in this body? But just then, a teeth-grinding screech tears through the air. The ground beneath me starts shaking violently. I turn my compound eyes to the left and witness the most terrifying killing machine I've ever seen in both lifetimes. It's a massive beast, emerald green, towering like a mountain. On its triangular head, 2 lifeless eyes stare down coldly. Most terrifying are its forearms, a pair of massive scythes covered in barbs, gleaming with metallic coldness. It's a praying mantis. But in this microscopic world, it's the Grim Reaper incarnate. Around me lie hundreds of white eggs. Many companions just hatched like me, their bodies still translucent and pale, their shells not yet hardened. This mantis is clearly here for an all-you-can-eat buffet. Swoosh! Without hesitation, a green blur flashes by. A worker ant less than 2 meters from me gets sliced in half by that massive scythe before it can even scream. Milky fluid mixed with organ fragments splatters across my face, scalding hot and reeking of a pungent acrid smell. The still twitching half-corpse gets skillfully lifted into the mantis's mouthparts. Crunch, crunch. The bone-chilling sound of chewing fills the air. Those precision mandibles work like a meat grinder, instantly pulverizing my companion's head into paste. Run! I have to run! My rationality kicks back in. In my past life, as a nascent soul cultivator, I survived countless life-and-death battles. My mental fortitude far exceeds that of ordinary people. I suppress the fear and replace it with absolute calm. I scan the terrain. This appears to be a natural depression, surrounded by raised black rocks. The mantis is massive and terrifyingly strong, but it can't turn quickly in tight spaces. I'm a newborn worker ant. My shell is soft, my strength basically 0. A direct confrontation means certain death, but my advantage is my small size, making me a less obvious target. While the mantis is still chewing on my companion's corpse, I clumsily maneuver my 6 legs, stumbling toward a black pillar nearby. At its base there's a flap of dead skin, just wide enough for one ant to squeeze through. The moment I dash half a meter, the mantis seems to notice this little snack trying to escape. It stops chewing, and its massive triangular head snaps toward me. Its death god compound eyes lock onto me. The chill of being targeted by a predator is more terrifying than facing heavenly tribulation lightning in my past life. This is a primal terror etched into my genes, the trembling of prey at the bottom of the food chain. The mantis pulls back its forelimbs, coiling for a lightning-fast strike. Its speed is incredible. Once it strikes, I'll be cut in half within 0.1 seconds. Am I going to die? Right after being reborn? Rage surges through me. No, I died once already, I refuse to die again. Luo Qingcheng, that venomous woman who killed me, is still alive. How can I die in the jaws of a beast? At this critical moment, a familiar warmth surges from deep within my soul. It's from my past life, the essence that merged with my soul during pill refinement, the lingering warmth of my natal pill fire. Though the physical flame is gone, the intent and principle of refining all things remains. This intent rushes into my abdomen, into the ant's second stomach, the social stomach. A strange purple gleam flashes in my compound eyes. I open my trembling mandibles and bite down hard on an unhatched egg nearby. This isn't ordinary feeding, I'm betting my life. Swallow the heavens art, activate! I roar in my mind. My past life's supreme cultivation technique forcibly activates in this insect body. A mouthful of nutrient-rich egg fluid flows into my belly. The social stomach, meant for storing food, now roars to life like a miniature alchemy furnace under my soul's command. My stomach acid boils violently, instantly breaking down, refining and vaporizing the egg fluid. A surge of incredibly pure energy courses through my veins, flooding my entire body. An ordinary ant couldn't absorb this much energy so quickly, but I'm refining food using alchemy techniques. I treat this egg fluid as medicinal ingredients, and my body as the pill furnace. Crack! My soft, translucent white body undergoes visible transformation in an instant. My shell dehydrates and hardens at an incredible speed, turning deep dark brown in moments. The muscle fibers in my 6 legs tighten instantly, tripling my strength. At the same moment, the mantis's scythe slashes down. Boom! Dust explodes everywhere. The black, dead skin-like ground splits open with a deep gash. But the instant before the blade falls, I leap hard to the right. My newly hardened hind legs unleash incredible jumping power, propelling me like a black bullet into the dead skin crevice. When the scythe's tip strikes the crevice entrance, sparks fly. That flap of dead skin actually withstands the mantis's full force strike. I curl up in the deepest part of the crevice, gasping for breath. Outside, the mantis's furious screeches echo, along with the tremors of its massive legs stomping the ground. The sharp scythe tip probes the crevice multiple times, missing my head by millimeters, the wind making my antennae sting. But I survive the first round of this microscopic hell. Outside, the slaughter continues, screams rising and falling, then growing sparse, finally fading to silence. The mantis seems satisfied, or loses patience with the leftover scraps hiding in crevices. Its heavy footsteps finally fade. In the dark crevice, I lie still. I don't rush out. Instead, I sense the changes in my body. The universal furnace radiates a warm sensation, sending me a signal. Not enough, more energy needed, I need to evolve. I extend my forelimbs, examining the sharp claws now turned black iron, a sinister smile forming. In my past life, I used heaven and earth as my furnace to refine plants and minerals. In this life, my body is the furnace, refining the flesh and blood of all living things. Luo Qingcheng, you killed me for your pills. This lifetime, I'll refine everything in this world and come back to kill you. Just as I prepare to rest and gather my thoughts, I suddenly notice something odd about the ground beneath me. The mantis's strike earlier broke off a corner of the crevice entrance, and from that damaged cut, a drop of golden liquid seeps out. This liquid is incredibly viscous, radiating an ancient, desolate aura yet containing explosive spiritual energy. Just one whiff, and every cell in my body cheers with joy, my soul nearly floating. My eyes widen in shock. This is divine blood! I finally realize where I am. This purple-black resilient ground, these black hairs like pillars holding up the sky. and this single drop of subcutaneous fluid containing such terrifying spiritual energy. I wasn't reborn in ordinary wilderness, but on the corpse of an ancient god. This corpse has been dead for countless millennia, its surface vast as a continent. Its skin, hair, and even parasites have formed their own independent ecosystem. For microscopic insects, this is home. But for me, this is an infinite treasure trove. A piece of skin here surpasses a 10,000-year spirit herb. A drop of blood equals heavenly treasures. As long as I can consume and refine, I'll definitely become stronger than my past life. Without hesitation, I crawl over and press my mandibles to that golden droplet larger than my body, greedily taking a sip. It's like swallowing a sun. Violent energy explodes inside me, nearly bursting this newly hardened body. Without my alchemy experience, this single sip would have made me explode. Suppress it. Universal furnace spin. I grip the ground tightly, fine cracks spreading across my shell, only to heal rapidly under the golden light's nourishment. I'm undergoing a complete rebirth. The tearing pain lasts 3 full hours. When I open my eyes again, my perspective has changed. The world seems slightly lower. No, I've grown taller. My grain of rice-sized worker ant body has doubled in size, now the size of a soybean. The most stunning change is my shell, no longer ordinary dark brown chitin, but displaying a dull metallic texture with faint golden patterns flowing across the surface, as complex as a human meridian map. My 2 forelimbs grow thicker, their ends no longer ordinary hooks, but evolved into fine serrated structures, resembling the infant form of that mantis's scythes. Is this the power of ancient god blood? I casually move my joints, and they crack with explosive pops. I swing at a piece of hard dead skin nearby. Pop! Like cutting tofu, the tough dead skin splits open easily. This dead skin just withstood the mantis's scythe earlier. Though it wasn't full force, it's still proof that my sharpness now exceeds ordinary worker ants. The universal furnace sends feedback. Absorbed trace ancient god epidermal fluid. Physical strength increased 200%. Trait acquired. Basic divine strength. Passively increases shell hardness and bite force. Hearing this, joy surges through me. But it's not enough. That golden droplet is completely absorbed, yet the world outside remains filled with danger. My current strength can at most handle a slightly larger termite one-on-one. Against a mantis like the one earlier, I'd still get sliced in one hit. Grumble. Intense hunger strikes again. Evolution demands massive energy consumption. I must feed again. I cautiously extend my antennae, sensing the outside. The air still reeks of blood, but the mantis has definitely left. Severed limbs of my companions litter the ground. For my human self, cannibalism is taboo. But for me as an ant now, these are resources. Since you're already dead, contribute one final time to my path of revenge. I crawl out of the crevice and rush toward the nearest worker ant corpse. It's an unlucky one with only its upper half remaining. I open my sharp mandibles and begin to feed. Same source genes detected. Extracting gain trace bioenergy. No special abilities acquired since these worker ants are the lowest tier existence, but this high-protein food rapidly replenishes my stamina. While I'm focused on feeding, an extremely subtle vibration transmits through the ground. Not the heavy footsteps of a large predator, but light, rapid, dense footsteps. I snap my head up. 3 meters ahead in the shadows, 8 glowing green eyes light up. A wolf spider. Not an adult though, but a juvenile about twice my size. Covered in gray fuzz with crystalline droplets hanging from its fangs. It's clearly a scavenger drawn by the blood scent. Seeing me, this larger solitary ant, the wolf spider hisses with excitement. In its mind, ants are only scary in groups. One-on-one is easy prey. Wanna eat me? I drop the corpse and slowly turn around, facing this predator twice my size. My compound eyes show no fear, only cold calculation. Wolf spider. Jumping hunter. Relies on venom and webbing. Weak points, abdomen and eyes. It's faster and stronger, but I have intelligence and these newly evolved forelimbs. The wolf spider moves. Unlike the mantis's direct approach, it first shoots white webbing from its abdomen, trying to restrict my movement. I anticipated this. The moment I see its abdomen raise, I dodge left. The web misses, sticking to the ground. Next, the wolf spider pounces, its 8 legs descending like a cage, fangs stabbing straight for my neck. If I were an ordinary worker ant, I'd instinctively retreat or curl up, but I do something against insect instinct. I charge forward instead of retreating. The moment the spider is mid-leap, I push hard with my enhanced hind legs, shooting like a cannonball straight into the spider's embrace. Beneath its abdomen between its 8 legs, a blind spot. The wolf spider clearly didn't expect its prey to dive in. Its fang attack misses. Open up. At this extremely close range, I swing my serrated forelimbs hard across the spider's soft abdomen. Reap. The sound of fabric tearing. The spider's thin abdominal fuzz can't stop my bone blades enhanced with basic divine strength. A long gash opens, green blood gushing out. The wolf spider shrieks in agony, thrashing wildly to shake me off. Several legs flail randomly, sending me flying. Bang! I crash into a rock, half my body going numb, my second left leg fracturing directly. But I smile because the wolf spider is rolling on the ground in agony, its organs spilling out, clearly dying. I endure the pain, dragging my injured leg closer step by step. The spider still twitches, its 8 eyes watching in terror as this black reaper approaches. Your genes are mine now. I climb onto the spider's corpse and bite down on its venom sac. Universal furnace, activate. This refinement is more intense than before. The spider's venom boils in my stomach, the burning sensation nearly making me faint. But I clench my teeth hard, using my will to guide this power into my venom glands. Worker ants don't have venom glands originally, but I'm modifying my own body. 15 minutes later, I stand up again. My broken leg has healed, though my size hasn't increased. 2 tiny injection ports have evolved inside my mouth. Gray patterns appear on my originally black shell. The wolf spider's camouflage genes. Devoured wolf spider juvenile. Trait acquired, corrosive venom, though not as potent as the original, sufficient to paralyze same-sized creatures. Sensory hairs, leg hair sensitivity increased, can detect subtle air current changes. I feel the power surging through my body, gazing at the massive ant nest towering in the distance. That's my birthplace and my current home. Billions of worker ants and soldier ants live there, along with the queen who controls everything. The worker ant version of me is dead. Now I'm the emperor who will end your slave system. I vibrate my antennae, taking firm steps toward the ant nest. I need more food, more genes, and that massive fungus farm inside the nest along with those fat soldier ants are the perfect nourishment. The nest entrance looks like a massive mine shaft. Countless worker ants flow in and out, some carrying plant debris, others dragging prey carcasses. A special pheromone scent fills the air. The queen's command: work, obey, sacrifice. This pheromone is an absolute decree for ordinary ants, impossible to resist. As I approach the entrance, I also feel that mental oppression. A voice in my head keeps urging, go in, carry, work. A mere insect's mind control. I snort coldly and activate the clear mind mantra from my past cultivation techniques. Though I have no spiritual power, these mental defense techniques remain. The compulsive command instantly weakens into background noise. I blend into the crowd and swagger inside. 2 soldier ants at the entrance, 3 times the size of workers with massive mandibles, tap me with their antennae. Identity verification. I instantly suppress my killing intent and mimic a docile worker ant's pheromones. The soldier ant's antennae scan over me. Though it finds this worker's shell a bit hard, the scent a bit odd, mixed with wolf spider pheromones. It's definitely one of ours. The soldier ant withdraws its antennae and lets me pass. Once inside the nest, light completely disappears. But this doesn't stop me. The enhanced sensory hairs from devouring the wolf spider. Let me construct a clear 3D map through air currents. This level's tunnels are intricate like a maze. I don't go to the worker rest chambers. Instead, I head straight for where the scent is strongest. The fungus cultivation chamber, where food is grown. And the most heavily guarded place besides the nursery. But I know what I urgently need is there. After passing through several narrow tunnels, faint luminescence appears ahead. A massive underground cavity comes into view. It's like an underground forest. Countless white fungal masses piled like cotton mountains, radiating an enticing sweet fragrance. Many worker ants busily feed the fungi with chewed leaves, or collect the honeydew secreted by the fungi. This honeydew is premium food for the colony, prioritized for soldiers and the queen. I observe from the shadows for a while. 4 large soldier ants guard here, blocking the only exit. Since forcing my way won't work, my gaze falls on a pile of rotting leaves in the corner. Growing on them are several brightly colored tiny mushrooms. In my past life's pharmacopoeia, these mushrooms are called phantasm spores, mildly toxic to humans, causing hallucinations. But in the microscopic world, they're potent neurotoxins to insects. A sinister plan forms in my mind. I'm an alchemist. What are alchemists best at? Not just refining medicine to save people, but also mixing poisons to kill. I quietly crawl over and use my bone blades to cut off several pieces of phantasm spore, holding them in my mouth without swallowing, storing them at the front of my newly evolved venom sac. Using the universal furnace's ability to begin biological synthesis, I mix my saliva with traces of wolf spider toxin and the phantasm spore's hallucinogenic components, fermenting them with body heat. 10 minutes later, a colorless, odorless, but extremely potent special honeydew forms in my mouth. I swagger toward one of the soldier ants. It immediately turns its head alertly, massive mandibles opening with a threatening gesture. I immediately lower my body, assuming an extremely submissive posture, while spitting out a drop of crystal clear special honeydew, cupping it in my forelimbs and offering it respectfully. This is a bribe. In the ant world, workers sharing food with soldiers is normal. The soldier ant touches the honeydew droplet with its antennae dubiously. So fragrant. 10 times more fragrant than the usual fungus honeydew. Greed instantly overcomes caution. The soldier ant lowers its head and sucks up the spiked honeydew completely. I sneer inwardly. Eat up, the more you eat, the faster you die. I repeat the process, offering a droplet to each of the other 3 soldier ants. After finishing this, I quickly retreat into the shadows. 3 minutes later, the toxin takes effect. The largest soldier ant suddenly stiffens, its antennae thrashing wildly. In its vision, the surroundings transform. It no longer sees familiar companions, but several vicious hostile insects attacking it, screeching. It goes berserk. It suddenly snaps open its giant mandibles and bites down on another soldier ant's neck. Crack! That soldier ant, still savoring the honeydew sweetness, gets its head severed by its own brother. Chaos. Total chaos. The remaining 2 soldier ants also fall into hallucinations and start slaughtering each other. The once orderly fungus chamber instantly becomes a killing field. The working ants scatter in terror. Amid the chaos, I shoot like black lightning into the deepest part of the fungus pile. I don't eat the ordinary mycelium. My target is the largest blood-red mother fungus in the center. That's the core of the entire fungus chamber, concentrating the purest energy. All enemies are my fuel. I pounce and devour in huge gulps. The universal furnace runs at full power, my energy bar skyrocketing. My body heats up again, muscles beneath my shell tearing and reorganizing. This time, I'll complete a true metamorphosis, evolving from worker ant to soldier ant, or even a higher form. Gulp. Massive swallowing sounds echo in the silent fungus forest center. That half-person height, blood-red, still pulsating mother fungus disappears at visible speed into my greedy mandibles. This isn't ordinary feeding. This is violent plunder. The mother fungus seems to sense death approaching. Its countless white mycelia whip my shell frantically, trying to strangle this invader. An ordinary worker ant would already be cocooned in mycelia by now. But this mother fungus faces me, a madman who uses his body as a pill furnace. Is this all you've got? Too weak! I let the mycelia wrap around me. My body temperature rapidly rises. The universal furnace runs at full power. The digestive acid in my stomach now boiling like acidic lava. As the last piece of blood-red fungal cap is swallowed, an extremely violent heat surge instantly breaks through my critical point. Crack. My originally hard black shell suddenly explodes, not molting but outright exploding, because the newly formed muscles inside are expanding too fast. The old shell can no longer contain this monstrous body. A dark red translucent fluid seeps from the cracks, rapidly solidifying on my surface to form a new exoskeleton. This time, it's no longer ordinary chitin, but a bioalloy mixed with trace ancient god divine blood, wolf spider genes, and mother fungus high energy nutrients. When I stand up again, my size has completely surpassed ordinary worker ants, even larger than those soldier ants just now, reaching an astonishing peanut size. In the microscopic world, this is already heavy tank dimensions. My originally slender 6 limbs become thick and powerful, covered in thorn-like barbs. 2 massive lumps bulge on my back, power packs of highly compressed muscle, ready to explode with terrifying instant acceleration. Most terrifying is my head. The originally rounded worker ant head now has sharp angles, with a single horn sprouting from the top, a battering ram for impact and armor piercing. Evolution complete. Current form, first-tier soldier ant mutant. Trait acquired, fungal symbiosis basic. Body surface can secrete special spores to accelerate wound healing. Strength amplified 300%. As I sense my new body's power, the sounds of slaughter in the distance gradually subside. Of those soldier ants poisoned with hallucinogens, only one still stands. It's covered in wounds, half its head crushed. Compound eyes gazing around in confusion. When it sees me, massive and radiating a terrifying aura. Genetic hierarchy suppression makes it instinctively feel fear, but as a nest guardian, it still shrieks and charges, opening its damaged giant mandibles to attack. Loyal fool. I watch it coldly, not dodging, no fancy techniques. The moment the soldier ant charged at me, I simply raised one of my forelegs, that thick, powerful limb covered in barbs, and brought it down heavily onto its head, like crushing a dried berry. The soldier ant's head burst open instantly, fluid splattering everywhere. Under the absolute crushing force, it was an instant kill. I withdrew my leg and glanced at the body strewn across the ground. I couldn't stay here long. The mother fungus was destroyed, the fungal chamber was in chaos, and that big one would soon notice. The big one I referred to was, of course, the ant queen deep in this underground realm. I didn't retrace my steps. Instead, I used my forelegs to cut off a piece of the soldier ant's carapace, holding it in my mouth as reserve material. Then I turned and slipped into an abandoned waste duct behind the fungal chamber. It led deeper into greater darkness and closer to the secrets of the ancient god. This so-called waste duct was essentially a passage the ant colony used to discard refuse, dead bodies, and feces. The stench here was overwhelming, filled with deadly methane and mold. But for me, it was a natural hiding spot. I crawled down the duct, descending further and further. The deeper I went, the darker the surrounding rock walls became, shifting from black to a dark red, and the texture changed from dry and hard to moist and elastic. Just as I suspected, this ant nest was built near one of the ancient god's main arteries. I stopped, touching the wall with my antennae. Through the thick layer of connective tissue, I could even faintly hear an extremely deep, slow, rhythmic pulse. Thump, thump, sounding only once every few minutes. Although the ancient god was dead, his flesh was still so active that certain cells or residual neural reflexes continued to function. Suddenly, from the darkness ahead, I heard a dense rustling sound. I immediately pressed myself against the wall, hiding, and activated my sensory hairs. Airflow fluctuations indicated a large group was passing by ahead. Not ants, but a swarm of soft white worms. Each one was as thick as a human finger, eyeless, with only a circular mouth lined with rings of sharp teeth. They were gnawing on a yellowish grease seeping from the walls of the ancient god's blood vessel, then excreting shiny crystals, corpse oil worms. My mind stirred. These creatures were parasites unique to the ancient god's corpse. They feed on corpse oil, and their excreted crystals are extremely high-purity energy blocks, comparable to low-grade spirit stones in the cultivation world. Behind this group of worms follow several large specialized ants. They're not ordinary soldier ants. Their abdomens are huge and transparent, filled with green liquid, clearly ranged units that can spray acid ants. These acid ants herd the worms like sheepdogs, then collect the energy crystals they excrete. I see. That old monster queen actually understands animal husbandry. A golden gleam flashes in my eyes. This means the current queen has awakened intelligence, possibly even mutated some kind of psychic ability. Otherwise she couldn't command such complex agricultural production. Perfect. My universal furnace needs more materials to upgrade. I target a straggling acid ant at the end of the formation, silently crawling along the upper pipe, using the advantage of being inverted on the wall to slowly approach. The moment that acid ant passes beneath me, I release my leg hooks, falling like a meteor. Squelch. My sharp horn precisely pierces the acid ant's vulnerable neck joint. The acid ant doesn't even scream before its nerve center is severed, collapsing limply. I quickly drag its corpse into a nearby hole and begin dissection. I skillfully cut open the acid ant's abdomen with my bone blades, carefully extracting the venom sac filled with acid. This is excellent. Strong acid plus the wolf spider neurotoxin I acquired earlier. If I can fuse them together and refine, I open my mouth and swallow the venom sac. Intense corrosive sensation instantly spreads through my mouth and esophagus. An ordinary creature would have its throat burned through by now, but my digestive tract, strengthened multiple times, has grown a corrosion-resistant mucous membrane lining. The universal furnace operates at high speed, refining and compressing the acid. At the same time, I make a crazy decision. The remaining partially digested acid, I use my internal muscle contractions to guide this refined aqua regia level toxic acid toward my tail. What was originally the worker ant's degenerated ovipositor location, I've now modified into a biochemical ejection port. Half an hour later, I crawl out of the hole. My appearance has undergone subtle changes again. At the end of my originally rounded abdomen, a sharp tubular structure resembling a scorpion's stinger has emerged, pulsing with a ghostly green glow inside. This is my new weapon, the acid cannon. Having a weapon, I still need an army. Looking at those worms still tirelessly gnawing on corpse oil, storming the palace alone is unrealistic. The queen definitely has tens of thousands of imperial guards. I need a legion of undead loyal to me. I crawl toward the largest corpse oil worm, sensing danger. It opens its fang-filled mouthparts to bite me. I snort coldly, my tail stinger stabbing out sharply, injecting a trace of neurotoxin. The worm instantly stiffens, unable to move. I don't kill it. Instead, I climb onto the worm's back, my forelimbs easily cutting through its skin. then spit out saliva mixed with my genetic information, directly injecting it into the worm's nerve ganglia. This is a common technique of demonic cultivators, the biological version of the soul branding method, using my genes to erode the target's nerve center, forcibly rewriting its biological instincts. The worm convulses violently, its body beginning to change color, from white to a deathly ashen gray. Its originally soft skin begins to keratinize, growing a thin hard shell. The teeth in its circular mouthparts become sharper, even sprouting 2 fangs. Moments later, the worm stops struggling. It slowly raises its head, and though it has no eyes, its mouthparts turn precisely toward me, emitting a submissive low hum. Good. I pat its head with satisfaction. You're my first test subject. I'll call you Corpse Worm Tank. This modified corpse oil worm is no longer a docile livestock. It now possesses hardened skin, violent aggression, and absolute obedience to me. I ride on the corpse worm tank's back, antennae waving, issuing my first command: devour all your companions and evolve into a stronger monster. The corpse worm tank roars, twisting its massive body and charging at the nearby worm swarm. A bloody massacre and devouring quietly unfolds beside the ancient god's dark vessel walls, and I, like a cold necromancer, stand on high watching all this coldly, ready to refine the soul energy spilling out. The slaughter lasts a full hour. The originally 100-strong worm swarm is now reduced to the final 3. All 3 have mutated, their bodies swelling to fist size, practically behemoths compared to my size. Their entire bodies covered in bone spikes and heavy shells, especially Corpse Worm Tank number 1, the first I modified, has now become a bloated meat bomb battle tank, its skin even embedded with several pieces of metal fragments pried from the ancient god's vessel walls, with astonishing defense, quality over quantity in troops. Looking at these 3 ferocious giant worms before me, confidence fills my heart, but I know this isn't enough. Though these worms are tough-skinned and thick-fleshed, they're slow and dim-witted, only good as meat shields. What I need are true elite killers. Just then, urgent alarm signals transmitted through pheromones echo throughout the entire nest. The scent in the air instantly changes. An extremely pungent, aggressive pheromone sweeps through. I've been discovered! It seems the fungus chamber massacre and the disturbance here at the ranch have finally attracted the Queen's Imperial Guard's attention. Rumble, uniform footsteps echo from the end of the tunnel ahead. Those sounds don't seem like they're from flesh and blood creatures, but more like metal striking the ground. My compound eyes narrow. From the darkness emerges a squad of pitch-black ants with mirror-like reflective shells. Their size isn't particularly huge, only slightly larger than ordinary soldier ants. But they're armed to the teeth. Their heads are massive. Their mandibles aren't ordinary pincers but like 2 giant hydraulic shears, and their backs have even evolved shield-like bone plates. Their 6 legs are disproportionately thick, each step leaving deep indentations in the ground. These are the nest's strongest force, the Black Iron Guards. Rumor has it they're raised directly on ancient god bone marrow, their shell hardness comparable to steel. The lead guard captain's antenna lock onto me. It emits a piercing screech. Heretic, eliminate. Without any words, 20 Black Iron Guards form a phalanx, pressing forward like a black wall. Perfect to test my new troops on you. I wave my antennae. Corpse worm tanks charge. The 3 mutant worms emit deep roars, crashing toward the guard, phalanx like 3 runaway trucks. Bang! Violent impact sounds echo through the tunnel. I have to admit, the Black Iron Guard's defense is truly terrifying. Facing worm impacts from creatures several times their size, they merely slide back a few meters without being sent flying. The frontline guards rapidly raise their massive mandibles, clamping hard onto the worm's flesh. Crack! Those hydraulic jaws that can easily crush stone instantly slice through the worm's thick mutated skin. Green blood gushes out, but the corpse worm tanks feel no pain. Under my control, they roll and crush madly, using their body weight to compress the guard's formation. One guard fails to dodge and gets pinned beneath a corpse worm tank before it can struggle. The corpse worm tank's mouthparts full of circular sharp teeth bite down on its head. Crunch. Teeth grinding, metal twisting sounds as the guard's hard head shell is actually chewed to pieces. Now's the time. I move. I don't attack those ordinary guards. My target is the captain. The muscles on my back bulge. Those rudimentary wings mutated from 4 segments suddenly vibrate. Though they can't fly yet, they grant me terrifying sprint speed. I transform into an afterimage, leaping high off a corpse worm tank's back. Acid cannon, fire. Mid-air, my tail stinger is already primed. Shoo! A stream of maximally concentrated acid venom shoots like a green sword precisely toward the guard captain's face. The guard captain reacts extremely fast, immediately raising its forelimbs to block. But this acid can even corrode ancient god blood vessels. It's aquarasia. Sizzle. White smoke erupts as the guard captain's 2 forelimbs are instantly corroded and severed. The venom splashes onto its compound eyes, burning straight through the lenses and drilling into its brain. The guard captain emits a piercing shriek and starts rolling frantically. Strike while it's down. Finish it off. I descend from above, my sharp horn carrying the gravitational potential energy of my fall, stabbing hard into the gap in the guard captain's shell connection. Its only weak point, the neck. Squelch. The horn pierces through. My forelimb bone blades sweep horizontally, directly severing the captain's head. The entire battlefield instantly falls silent. The remaining Black Iron Guards' movements pause for an instant. The commander's death creates a break in their hive consciousness. I stand on the guard captain's corpse, holding high the head still dripping blue blood. I activate another ability of the Universal Furnace, Intimidation Field. I release a trace of divine might formed from devouring the ancient god's aura through my antennae. Submit or die. This mental wave is extremely domineering, directly bombarding all the ants' nerve nodes. The guards, already in chaos from losing their commander, waver under this pressure from a superior predator. Their antennae tremble, their desire to attack rapidly fading, and behind me roar, the 3 blood-soaked corpse worm tanks roar in coordination. This is my plan, not just physical elimination but mental conquest. I will usurp control of this army. Just then, I discover something unusual in the guard captain's corpse. At the severed neck, there's an extremely fine fluorescent thread extending deep into the brain. I pick out the thread with my bone blade. This isn't biological tissue but a metallic nerve. I see. Looking at this metallic wire thinner than a hair, I suddenly understand. No wonder they're called black iron guards. This isn't a product of natural evolution at all. That queen, or rather whatever's behind the queen, is mechanically modifying these ants. This isn't just biological mutation, but a fusion of cyberpunk and Cthulhu horror. The ancient god's corpse contains not just flesh and blood, but fragments of divine weapons or metallic cells from his lifetime. The queen is unconsciously using these metallic elements to modify her subjects. Since you can modify, then as an alchemy grandmaster, I can certainly do it better. I swallow that metallic nerve in one gulp, connecting directly to the guard captain's entire body. High purity biometal detected, along with primitive neural link code. Universal furnace, analyzing, new formula acquired, metallic skeleton refinement. New formula acquired, neural link control. My body begins heating up again. This time, my shell doesn't grow larger but heavier, its hardness increasing madly. My bone blade edges gleam with a genuine metallic cold light. I look at the remaining 19 black iron guards, no longer as enemies but as semi-finished products awaiting upgrades. Your king is dead. I am your new king now. Come, receive my blessing and modification. I approach the nearest guard. It trembles, ultimately not resisting but lowering its proud head. I pierce my antennae into the back of its head, activating the newly learned neural link control, and inject a stream of metallic energy fluid refined by the universal furnace. Crack. The guard's body emits explosive sounds, its originally sluggish movements instantly becoming agile. Red patterns emerge on its black shell. My mark. First mechanical guard in position. I turn to face the darkness leading to the abyss. Queen, wash your neck and wait for me. Your army is becoming mine. With my first core group, my advancement speed greatly accelerates. I begin employing snowball tactics. When encountering small patrols, I directly suppress them by force and neural rewriting, bringing them under my command. When encountering large creatures, I have the corpse worm tanks absorb damage, the mechanical guards strike weak points, and finally I devour and refine. In just half a day, a terrifying legion of 200 mechanical guards and 3 mutant corpse worm tanks follows behind me. Wherever we pass, nothing grows, all resources plundered clean. Finally, we reach the nest's lowest level. This is a massive spherical space, hundreds of meters in diameter. The air is thick with a suffocatingly sweet fragrance, highly concentrated life essence, and in the center of the space floats a mountain of flesh. Yes, floats, because countless thick flesh tubes extend from the ancient god's flesh walls in all directions, plugged into that white giant worm's body in the middle. That's the queen. Her size is astonishing, as large as a bus. Her abdomen, originally meant for laying eggs, has now mutated into a massive biological factory. Beneath her transparent skin, countless eggs can be seen being transported out by conveyor belt-like organs. But what shocks me most is the queen's upper body. No longer an ant's head, but bearing a face resembling a human woman. Though the features are twisted, hairless, skin pale as paper, it's definitely a human face. Moreover, embedded in her forehead is a fingernail-sized golden crystal, a fragment of the ancient god's divine core. I gasp. No wonder this queen could evolve such intelligence and perform mechanical modifications. She's fused with a fragment of will left behind by the ancient god's death. Who are you? The queen opens her eyes. They're pure golden compound eyes, without an insect's turbidity, but possessing a lofty divine indifference. Her voice doesn't travel through air but explodes directly in my mind. Who I am doesn't matter. I walk forward step by step, the mechanical legion behind me rapidly spreading out to surround the entire hall. What matters is you've seized things that don't belong to you. That divine core and ownership of this ancient god's corpse will change hands today. The queen's face shows a humanized, mocking expression. An ant dares dream of god slaying. She lightly raises her bloated arm. Her forelimbs have evolved into human-like arms. Rumble. The walls around the hall suddenly split open, countless tentacles emerging from within. These aren't ordinary tentacles. They're the ancient god's nerve endings. This queen can actually control the ancient god's corpse for defense. At the same time, from the abyss beneath the queen, 4 elephant-sized monsters crawl out. They have ant heads, spider bodies, and scorpion tails, entirely covered in heavy biological armor. These are the queen's ultimate guards, chimera behemoths. Kill him and offer me his genes. The queen issues her divine command. Want to eat me? Let's see whose teeth are sharper. I laugh wildly. This is the battle I want. This is the heaven-defying, fate-changing a cultivator should have. Full assault. Tear them apart. At my command, the 200 mechanical guards behind me simultaneously activate overclocking mode, red light blazing in their eyes, charging recklessly at those 4 chimera behemoths. The corpse worm tanks roar, serving as meat shields, enduring the tentacles' lashing. And I have only one target. My 4 limbs vibrate, transforming into a red meteor, weaving through gaps in the sky, dancing tentacles. All obstacles are severed by my indestructible bone blades, heading straight for the queen's head. Come on, let's see if your false divine power is stronger or my universal furnace harder. Boom, a massive sound shakes the entire underground cavity. A chimera behemoth swings its scorpion tail like giant hook, smashing hard where I just stood. The hard ancient god flesh ground is pounded into a deep crater. Debris flies as I've already transformed into an afterimage flashing into the air. But before I can catch my breath, several tentacles lash at me like maggots to bone. Smack! Though I block with my bone blades, the enormous force still sends me flying, crashing heavily into the wall. So this is divine power's enhancement? I wipe away the blue fluid seeping from my mouth. Even more insane battle intent igniting in my compound eyes. I can sense the queen isn't skilled at combat. All her power comes from that divine fragment's passive amplification and crude control of these monsters. Like a child wielding a legendary divine sword but only swinging wildly. Let me show you what technique means. I vibrate my wings, no longer charging in a straight line but beginning to maneuver in the air. This is my past life's martial movement technique. Phantom shadow steps. Though I have no spiritual power, the physical force techniques remain. I trace strange zigzag patterns in the air, using surrounding stone pillars and tentacles as cover, instantly closing in on the chimera behemoth that just attacked me. Big guy, your joints are too stiff. I glide past the behemoth's abdomen, my 2 bone blades precisely cutting into the behemoth's leg joint cartilage like surgical scalpels. Crack. The behemoth's massive body suddenly tilts, collapsing to the ground. At the same time, my mechanical legion behind me also demonstrates astonishing tactical discipline. The 3 tough-skinned corpse worm tanks charge side by side at the front, forcibly withstanding the firepower of the other 3 behemoths. The 200 black iron guards I modified don't charge blindly but line up neatly in the rear, opening their massive mandibles to spray my specially formulated corrosive venom. Sizzle. Green toxic rain falls on the chimera behemoths and the queen, raising clouds of white smoke. Though damage is low, the insult is extreme. You damned insect! The queen rages. The golden crystal on her forehead suddenly erupts with blinding light. An invisible mental storm instantly sweeps the battlefield. Divine Might's Soulquake. This move is lethal to insects. The charging corpse worm tanks instantly stiffen. The black iron guards clutch their heads and collapse, rolling in agony. Their souls are too weak to withstand this high-dimensional mental assault. Even I feel intense pain in my brain, as if a red-hot iron skewer is stirring my mind. But I smile, a terrifyingly savage smile. Compare soul strength with me. I was a nascent soul cultivator in my past life. Even with my physical body destroyed, my soul's essence remains. You, a mother worm who lucked into finding a fragment, dare use soul attacks on me? I bite through my tongue tip, using the intense pain to forcibly condense mental power, visualizing an infernal Asura statue in my consciousness. See. Break. I emit a roar unbefitting an insect and push through the mental storm, not retreating but accelerating toward the queen. At this moment, in the queen's mental vision, what charges toward her is no longer a soldier ant, but an Asura wreathed in blazing demonic flames. Hiss! How is this possible? The queen feels fear for the first time. Her prideful divine pressure actually fails. In the instant she panics, I arrive. 10 meters, 5 meters, 1 meter. The queen frantically waves her bloated human hands trying to block me. Swish! My horn flashes with cold light. Squelch! That human-like arm is severed at the root. Immediately after, I land on the queen's twisted human face, the barbs on my 6 legs piercing deep into her skin, securing myself. Then I open that pair of serrated mandibles strengthened countless times, gleaming dark gold, targeting the golden divine fragment on her forehead. No, that's mine. The queen emits a piercing shriek, shaking her head desperately. But I'm nailed on like a spike. It's mine now! I bite down hard, not to crush but to grasp. Universal furnace, maximum power, devouring heaven mode, activate, rumble. An energy torrent 10,000 times more powerful than before, rushes directly into my body through my mouthparts. This is true divine power. Even if just a fragment, it contains the power of laws. My body instantly turns bright red like a red-hot iron shrimp. My shell begins melting, muscles collapsing, but I refuse to release my grip. They say mortal flesh cannot contain divine power. I defy heaven itself. As the divine fragment loosens, I forcibly pry it from the queen's forehead and swallow it. The queen's screams abruptly cease. Without the divine fragment's support, her massive body rapidly withers and rots, as if experiencing 1,000 years in an instant. The tentacles and chimera behemoths she controlled also collapse, dissolving into puddles of pus. The entire hall instantly falls silent. Only I remain, lying on the queen's corpse, my entire body wrapped in a massive crimson cocoon of light. I'm undergoing the final and most critical evolution. The light cocoon lasts 3 full days and nights. During these 3 days, the black iron guards and corpse worm tanks, having regained their senses, loyally guard the cocoon without leaving. They instinctively know that inside gestates their one true king. On the 4th morning, crack, a fissure appears on the crimson cocoon's surface, and then a hand extends out. Yes, a hand. No longer simple leg segments, but a claw covered in black exoskeleton yet with 5 distinct fingers. Then the cocoon shatters and the new me emerges. Form, Calamity Ant Emperor, juvenile. Size reduced to that of a human infant, about 50 centimeters, but in the insect world this is already colossal. Appearance, half human, half insect. I walk upright, possessing a human-like torso and limbs, but entirely covered in streamlined dark gold heavy armor, with 4 pairs of sharp bone wings on my back that span 2 meters when extended. My head still retains ant characteristics, but below the compound eyes, a mouthful of sharp teeth splits open. Most striking is my chest, where that golden crystal is embedded, like Iron Man's reactor, radiating an eternally glowing light. Evolution complete. Species Ascension 2, Ancient Godkin, Calamity Insectoid. Core abilities acquired. Divine Core Fragment. Possesses infinite energy. Can power high-tier biological modifications. Hive Mind Dominion. Can directly control subordinate units' nerve centers regardless of distance. Genetic Archive. Can analyze and store excellent genes from any devoured creature for troop development. I clench my fist, the air exploding with a crisp crack. My current self can tear apart Foundation Establishment human cultivators with physical strength alone. With an army, even Golden Core cultivators are no problem. Time to consolidate the family business. I turn around, looking at the awestruck subordinates behind me, and the egg-laying assembly line still operating in the hall's depths. Though the queen is dead, the previous ovipositor remains. I approach the ovipositor. Placing my hand on it, the universal furnace operates in reverse, injecting improved genetic code. From today, no more waste production. I'll forge a true war machine. The first great population reformation begins. Using the divine fragment's power, I completely transform the nest's ecology. I no longer cultivate soldiers through feeding, but directly modify ant egg genes. Moreover, I introduce industrialization concepts. A week later, a bone-chilling biological fortress appears on the ancient god corpse's surface layer. The originally loose mounds are flattened, replaced by black walls cast from ancient god bone powder mixed with adhesive fluid. Densely arrayed on the walls is a new creature, Acid artillery. They can't even move because their abdomens have become massive cannon barrels, can only be fixed in artillery positions, but with a range of 100 meters, can precisely strike airborne birds. Inside the fortress, countless engineer ants busily work. They no longer transport food, but transport metal ore and ancient god flesh. I establish a genetic ascension pool underground. All newly hatched larvae must be thrown into the pool for immersion, and only those who survive can become warriors. This day, I stand at the fortress's highest point, the tip of the ancient god's upright rib, overlooking my domain. Behind me, 3 new legions are neatly arrayed. First, the ground force main units, black armor guards, retaining previous defensive capabilities but with more streamlined bodies. Forelimbs evolved into high-frequency vibrating bone blades capable of cutting metal. Second, the special ops force, bomber mites, extremely small, only the size of mung beans, but containing compressed, high-concentration ancient god waste blood inside. Once detonated, power equivalent to a grenade, with intense corrosive toxins. Third, the aerial ace units, Sky Hunter Mantis Riders. This is my proudest creation. I captured all the mantises in the surrounding area, extracted their genes, and cultivated this flying mount species possessing 4 wings and dual scythes. On each mantis's back rides an elite soldier ant wielding a bone spear. And this is just the beginning. Looking at the undulating ancient god corpse mountain ranges in the distance, this corpse is too vast. What I occupy is merely the tip of the iceberg, roughly only the size of one of the ancient god's toes. In the deeper regions, even more terrifying monsters await, along with more precious treasures. Report, hive mind communication. A reconnaissance flying soldier suddenly sends an urgent transmission. My Emperor, the northern defense line is under attack. Unknown creatures are swarming in. Our entire harvesting squad there has been wiped out. I narrow my eyes. So they finally come. Another warlord on this wasteland daring to challenge me? According to my memories, that direction is home to a colony of parasite demon bees, the scourge of this region, known for laying their eggs inside living hosts and hollowing them out from within. In my previous life, nothing disgusted me more. Relay my orders. My wing membranes snap open, whipping up a fierce gale. First Legion aerial cavalry, march with me. Tonight's dinner is roasted bee larvae. At that very moment, the northern defense line, this stretch sits at the junction where the ancient god's toe meets its foot, a jagged landscape of ravines and broken ridgelines. By now, it has become a meat grinder. The sky turns dark as a massive cloud blots out the sun, but it is not a cloud. It is tens of thousands of parasite demon bees. Each one is the size of a sparrow, with a stinger glowing in sickly purple-black at its tail. They dive like bombers, plunging their stingers into the black iron guards resisting on the ground below. Twip! A single sting may not pierce the guards' hardened shells, but the shells can't stop the parasite eggs the stingers inject. Seconds later, a guard collapses in convulsions. Then its body bursts open. Several blood-drenched larval bees crawl out. On the ground, my garrison takes heavy losses. The black iron guards are devastating in one-on-one combat, but against this kind of aerial bombardment and biological assault, they are completely out of their element. A smug, droning hum rises from the sky. At the center of the swarm, an enormous bee queen holds court, surrounded by endless throngs of workers. She surveys the carnage below, her eyes glittering with greed. She can feel it. These ants carry high-purity ancient god energy. Devour them, and her colony will evolve again. Just as the defense line is about to collapse, something rises on the distant horizon. A dark mass moving impossibly fast, tearing through the air with a bone-chilling shriek. That is, the bee queen pauses. Whoosh! The next instant, countless razor-sharp bone spears rain down into the swarm like a monsoon. That is the first volley from the Sky Hunter Mantis Riders. Caught completely off guard, the swarm is shredded, but that is only the opening act. Then my figure appears high above the battlefield. I carry a 2-meter bone blade, a weapon I carved from a fragment of the ancient god's leg bone. Alone, I drive straight into the thickest part of the swarm. Slash! A single swing releases an arc of dark gold blade light sweeping 100 meters, and dozens of demon bees are cut in half before they can even react. All forces, charge! With my roar, 500 mantis riders crash into battle. This is not ants against bees. This is a trained army against a rabble. The mantis riders' twin scythes dance through the air. Every crossing arc leaves a spray of blood behind. The ant riders on their backs use bone spears to pick off any demon bees trying to flank us. At the same time, the acid artillery on the ground finally reaches firing position, elevating to a 75-degree angle for area suppression. Boom! Green acid orbs detonate midair, filling the sky with a massive toxic fog cloud. Any bee caught in the mist has its wings dissolved in seconds. They drop like stones, and every bee that hits the ground is immediately torn apart by the black iron guards who have been waiting for exactly this. The tide turns in an instant. I have no interest in prolonged combat. My eyes lock onto the bee queen. Strike the general to end the battle. The bee queen clearly senses the danger. This humanoid monster that appeared out of nowhere is far too powerful. She shrieks and commands thousands of elite guard bees to form a living wall, trying to block me while she turns to flee. Running? I sneer, pressing my hand against the golden crystal on my chest. Godhead overload. Gravity pull. It only lasts an instant, but an instant is all I need. The fleeing bee queen feels her body suddenly sink, as if a black hole has opened behind her, and is physically dragging her back. Her speed falters for just one beat, and in that one beat, my bone wings blast out a burst of high-pressure air. My speed shatters the sound barrier. Crack! A white ring of sonic boom explodes in the air above me. I punch clean through the living wall of bees, smashing hundreds of them, and appear directly above the bee queen. Down you go! I drive my foot into her back, the sheer force slamming her out of the sky from 1,000 meters up. The earth shakes as she crashes into a pile of jagged rocks, wings snapped, abdomen ruptured, green blood pooling around her. She struggles to rise, but a massive bone blade is already resting on her neck. Up in the sky, the swarm sees their queen captured and erupts into chaos. Some dive to rescue her, others scatter and flee. I plant my foot on the bee queen's head, raise my eyes to the sky, and release the full weight of the insect emperor's dominion. Surrender and live! The thought wave ripples through the entire valley. The survivors surviving demon bees waver. They are savage, but faced with this absolute display of power and the sight of their queen broken beneath my foot, survival instinct wins out. One demon bee drops its stinger and slowly descends. Then a second. Then a third. A smile tugs at my lips. Perfect. With these bees, my air force is about to make a quantum leap, and their parasitic technique, if I could combine it with my bomber mites, a wild idea ignites in my mind biological parasite bombs. Plant mite eggs inside enemies, then wait until they return to their base and detonate. Bring the bee queen back. I sheathe my blade and order the guards beside me. I want to study her reproductive system carefully. There are optimizations to be made. Several weeks later, on the abdominal plains of the ancient gods' remains, my territory has grown tenfold. I am no longer just the ant emperor. I am the lord of all insects across this entire region. Alongside my ants, mantises, and demon bees, I have tamed the burrowing shadow fiends, serving as transport units and underground strike teams, and the phantom stick insects serve as scouts. I sit on a throne built from thousands of bones, idly turning a fist-sized spirit stone in my hands. It was excavated from the ancient god's gallbladder, technically a gallstone, but packed with staggering spiritual energy. At this rate, another month, and I will have gathered everything needed to restore my meridians. I calculate in silence. Once I recover my chi cultivation stage, I can open my storage ring from my past life, if I can find it, or reforge my magical artifacts. Then I can attempt to refine the entire ancient god's corpse. Then it hits, a bone-chilling dread, sudden and overwhelming. I know this feeling all too well. It is the divine sense scan of a cultivator. The source is still far away, tens of thousands of meters above, and it sweeps past without targeting anyone in particular. But the message is unmistakable. A human cultivator has found this place. I lurch to my feet and burst out of the palace, eyes snapping to the sky. At the far edge of the deep crimson sky, the thick cloud cover tears apart. A blinding sword light streaks across the heavens like a rainbow piercing the sun. That sword light is enormous, visible from tens of thousands of meters away, and riding upon it, a flying sword and a flying vessel. I push my compound eyes to their limits, alternating between close focus and long range, and I see it, above that sword light, a massive jade-green ship, 100 inches long, hangs in the air. On its side, engraved in massive relief, is an emblem I will never forget as long as I live, a burning red lotus. The Red Lotus Sect. My fists clench with an audible crack, rage and killing intent pouring from my eyes. Luo Qingcheng Sect. I did not expect them so soon, and judging by this display, these are no ordinary disciples out for training. At the very least, there is a golden core elder on board. Any ordinary creature seeing that flying fortress would be cowering underground in terror. But I am different. No one understands cultivators better than I do. They are here for treasure. The ancient god's corpse has been revealed, and a treasure trove of this magnitude. The Red Lotus Sect will want it all to themselves. They will tear this land apart, eradicate every living thing here, and loot every resource in sight. Very well then. I take a slow breath, and turn to face the vast insect army stretching across the landscape below me. After weeks of relentless breeding, my forces number 100,000 strong. But in the face of human cultivators' large-scale spells, numbers can be meaningless. A single fireball can incinerate thousands. However, this ancient god's corpse is my home field. This place has sky-clearing wards, ancient god's suppressive aura, lethal poisonous swamps, and countless natural traps. Most importantly, they are visible. I am hidden. Cold tactical light burns in my eyes. I am not going to fight them head-on. I am going to wage a war unlike anything this world has ever seen. A war of asymmetry. Spread the order. My voice transmits through the hive mind dominion, reaching every corner of my territory in an instant. Full battle readiness. Activate concealment mode. All fortresses disguise themselves as earthen mounds. All forces burrow 500 meters underground. No one surfaces without my command. Drive the low-level, unmodified beasts to the surface as decoys, make them think this is nothing but ordinary wasteland, and when they lower their guard and advance deep into our territory, I watch the massive ship descending slowly, and a cruel smile crosses my lips. I will show them what it means to drown in a sea of insects. Aboard the ship, a young man in red robe stands proudly at the prow, brimming with arrogance. He is the head senior disciple of the Red Lotus Sect, and one of Luo Qingcheng's admirers, Zhao Tianxing. Master said there were ancient god ruins here. Looks like she was right. Zhao Tianxing surveys the vast purple-black expanse below, his eyes burning with greed. Once I find the ancient god's heart and present it to Luo Qingcheng, she'll finally look at me differently. As for the demon beasts and insects down there, one sword stroke is all it takes. He has no idea that somewhere beneath that seemingly lifeless landscape, a pair of compound eyes is watching him. Eyes carrying hatred forged across 2 lifetimes, locked unblinking on his throat, and 100,000 hungry monsters are sharpening their claws. The surface of the ancient god's remains is a desolate purple-black wasteland, utterly still. No wind here, only occasional jets of hot gas venting from cracks in the ground, reeking of sulfur and decay. The Red Lotus Sect's vessel, the Qing Luan, touches down on a flat plateau 10 kilometers from my core fortress. Its massive landing struts crunch through the bony surface layer, kicking up clouds of pale dust. All disciples, hear my order! Zhao Tianxing stands at the prow, in brilliant crimson scale armor standing out sharply against the dim sky. He holds a premium-grade spirit sword, his voice wrapped in spiritual energy and carrying in every direction. This expedition into the ancient god ruins is a once-in-a-millennium opportunity for our Red Lotus Sect. Outer disciples, form a perimeter, collect spirit herbs and ore. Inner disciples, follow me deep into the ruins, to seek the ancient god's essence, blood, and legacy. Remember, any demon beast you encounter, kill on sight. Any cultivator from another sect you encounter, kill without mercy. Yes! Hundreds of red-robed disciples answer in unison, their voices shaking the air. Every face burns with hunger. as if what lies before them is not uncharted danger, but a vault with the door flung wide open. They split into over a dozen squads and fan out like scattered seeds. As far as they are concerned, this is just another routine sweep. The spiritual energy here is strange, yes, but there are no powerful high-tier demon beasts in sight, only a few scattered low-level mutant insects skittering away, 500 meters underground, in the central command chamber. I sit on my throne, eyes closed, but through thousands of phantom stick insects, microscopic scouts that perfectly mimic their surroundings, I can see every movement on the surface more clearly than anyone. Everything streaming into my mind is a holographic projection. Here they come. I watch a 20-person squad moving toward the toxic fog swamp. An elite Red Lotus Sect scouting team, led by a foundation-building mid-stage cultivator. Fish on the hook, my antennae quiver, with a silent command. Phase 1, traps activate, ground toxic fog. At the swamp's edge, the scouting squad advances with careful steps. It's so quiet here, a female disciple says uneasily. Not even the sound of insects. Quiet is good, the squad leader sneers. In a cursed land like this, every demon beast is hiding. Look over there. He points to a patch of boggy ground ahead where several plants glow with a faint blue light. Fat-leafed, shaped like leering skulls. 500-year ghost face blue. One stalk alone is worth 100 spirit stones. Greed overrules caution, and several disciples rush forward to harvest them, but the moment their feet touch that seemingly ordinary mud, everything goes wrong. Glurp. This is not mud, it is a mimic slime swarm in disguise. These soft-bodied creatures hold solid under normal conditions, but the moment weight is applied, they liquefy instantly and release a powerful adhesive. My feet, I can't pull them out, the mud is eating me alive. Several disciples find their legs sinking at an alarming rate, and no matter how much spiritual energy they pour in, they cannot break free of the terrible suction. Stay calm, burn it with a fireball, the squad leader shouts, and at that moment the hollow tree trunks around them, those are not trees, they are acid artillery in disguise, units that had contracted, their bodies imposed as black tumors on the ancient god's skin now stretching wide open, black muzzles yawning. Fire. The one word drops from my lips underground, cold as ice. Boom. Dozens of dark green acid jets blast out, reeking of rancid bile, spraying in from every direction. This is not ordinary acid. I synthesized it from the ancient god's stomach acid, wolf spider venom, and corrosive bee stingers. A custom, spirit-shattering venom. Purpose-built to eat through a cultivator's spiritual shield. Screams rip the air apart. The disciples' protective wards dissolve like wet paper, eaten through in an instant. The venom splashes their flesh, which begins melting at a visible rate. White bone exposed within seconds. Even the foundation building squad leader takes an acid blast to the shoulder, his entire arm liquefying in moments. Ambush, we're under attack! He screams in agony, and crushes the jade emergency talisman in his hand, but he will never see the reinforcements. The ground begins to shake, and then a massive pincer covered in backward curving spines bursts up through the earth beneath his feet. The burrowing shadow fiend, formerly my underground transport unit, has become the most terrifying of assassins. Its circular maw of interlocking blades snaps shut, swallowing the squad leader whole, magical artifact and all, grinding everything to nothing. The fight ends fast. 20 cultivators are annihilated in under 1 minute. Not a scrap of flesh is wasted. Worker ants drag the bodies into the tunnels at once, hauling them to my alchemy chamber. Equipment and storage pouches are piled up. Trophies of war. And this is only the beginning. The same scene plays out across every corner of the ancient god's remains. Some disciples spot a frightened-looking small animal, not realizing it has been implanted with bomber mites as a living decoy, and move to capture it. The moment they get close, the creature detonates. Dozens of mites spray in every direction, latching onto the cultivators, then chain exploding one after another, hurling them across the ground. Others fly on their swords thinking the sky is safe, until a volley of black spheres rains down from above. High-altitude bomber beetles drop poison gas bombs. The gas spreads in moments and their flying swords sputter out, the cultivators falling like kites with cut strings, plunging into the open jaws of waiting beasts below. In less than half an hour, the Red Lotus sect loses close to 100 disciples. Panic spreads. Aboard the flying vessel, "You worthless fools!" A roar shatters the fine tea set inside the cabin. An elder in a golden crimson robe strides out, his hair and beard bristle with fury, his presence radiating a suffocating, terrifying pressure. A golden core early-stage elder, Elder Leafire, the overseer and protector of this entire operation. Mere insects dare to injure disciples of my Red Lotus sect? Elder Leafire's divine sense sweeps outward and locks onto several worker ant squads in the middle of hauling bodies. Die! He raises one hand. Spiritual energy converges above, shaping into a blazing palm 100 inches wide, blazing with sun-scorching heat, and slams down. Boom! The earth convulses. Where that palm strikes, 500 meters in every direction is reduced to an inferno, the surface melting into glass. Thousands of worker ants and several small outposts are vaporized before they can even scream. This is the power of a golden core cultivator. Against absolute strength, numbers seem to mean nothing. Deep underground in my command chamber, the violent tremor sends dirt raining from the ceiling. I stare at that monstrous blazing palm in the holographic projection, expression dark, but my eyes hold no fear. Only the cold light of calculation. Golden core, as formidable as expected. One strike wiped out 1/10 of my forces. But old man, is your spiritual energy infinite? I stand and run a hand over the Godhead shard on my chest. Since you've shown your hand, I'll play a bigger game with you. Spread the order, Phase 2 attrition war. Take every cultivator corpse we've collected and feed them all into the universal furnace. I am making pills. Deep underground in the core alchemy chamber, dozens of cultivator limbs and body parts are heaped inside a massive bioreaction vat. These cultivators were mostly at the QI cultivation and foundation building stages, their flesh carrying essence refined by the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. For ordinary demon beasts, this would be a rare feast. For me, this is raw material. Universal furnace. Reverse extraction. I stand at the edge of the vat, my Godhead glowing on my chest, pouring streams of golden energy into the pool. The pool boils, turning blood red. Every impurity is stripped away, leaving only the purest life essence and spiritual energy, condensing into blood red pills. The blood spirit pill. Effect: massively boosts physical strength, instantly restores injuries, and has a chance to awaken one of the cultivator's former spiritual root attributes. I grab a handful of pills and toss them into my mouth like candy. Crunch! The moment the pills hit my stomach, savage spiritual energy detonates inside me. My stalled evolution meter begins to surge again. My shell darkens by the second, shifting from dark gold to an abyssal pure black, with red flame patterns rising across the surface. I absorb part of the fire-type spiritual root attributes from the cultivators, but it is not enough. These low-ranked disciples carry too many impurities. I need the flesh of that golden core elder to break through to my demon emperor full form. I turn and look at the special cocoons behind me. These are the new units I just bred using my Godhead reforging technique, purpose-made for golden core cultivators, the God Slayers. Meanwhile, on the surface battlefield, Elder Leafire's intervention temporarily steadies the Red Lotus sect's crumbling line. All disciples form the Red Lotus sword formation, Zhao Tianxing shouts. The surviving disciples rally quickly, hundreds of flying swords launching skyward, weaving into a massive spinning Red Lotus, sealing every approach within 1,000 meters. No matter how the insect swarm charges, it is shredded before it can break through. Pathetic tricks. Elder Leafire hovers in midair, hands clasped behind his back, surveying the wasteland around him with contempt. Whatever cowardly creature is hiding down there, come out and die. Stay hidden any longer and I will scorch 100 meters of this land to cinders. Elder Leafire forms hand seals, preparing to unleash his ultimate technique, and at that moment a sound rises, impossibly low, a frequency that makes the soul itself shudder, surging up from underground. Elder Leafire's brow furrows. The ground in the distance suddenly heaves, not a single mound, but an entire mountain ridge shifting. That is one of the ancient god's tendons. I am attempting to manipulate the ancient god's corpse, only the faintest neural reflex of something impossibly vast, but it is enough to be terrifying. That massive tendon coils like an earth dragon rearing up and lashes down hard against the Red Lotus sword formation. Suicidal! Elder Leafire snorts, summoning his life-bound treasure, the 9-dragon flame cage. A massive cage blazing with 9 fire dragons expands against the wind and slams into the tendon. Boom! Heaven and earth split apart. The shockwave blasts the surrounding sword formation apart, dozens of weaker disciples spitting blood and hurled off their feet. The ancient god's tendon is badly scorched and retracts underground. But Elder Leafire is also thrown back several meters, his chi and blood churning violently. Terrifying physical force. No ordinary demon beast could do that, and in the split second when Elder Leafire's old force is spent and his new force has not yet gathered, the real killing blow arrives. Whoosh! 3 streaks of black lightning tear out of the void beneath Elder Leafire's feet without any warning. 3 void mantises, assassins I bred by splicing ancient god spatial fragment genes into their makeup. They have no physical form and can jump through space at short range. In this moment they are the scalpel in my hand. 3 purple-black scythes slash simultaneously toward Elder Leafire's core, throat, and eyes. Teleportation? Impossible. Elder Leafire's face drains of color. A technique touching on spatial law. Even nascent soul patriarchs can't always master that. How could a few insects possibly? At the edge of life and death, the full depth of a golden core cultivator erupts. Elder Leafire bites through his own tongue and spews a mouthful of essence blood. Blood shield. Repelling. Fire ring. A ring of blood-red fire detonates violently outward from Elder Leafire's its epicenter. Bang! Bang! 2 of the void mantises are blasted to dust by the ring, but the third, the largest and most powerful, carries a fragment of my own consciousness within it. Enduring the agony of being burned alive, it drives its scythe hard into Elder Leafire's left shoulder. Squelch! The scythe's lethal poison floods in immediately. This is no ordinary toxin, it is my custom-brewed spirit-sealing powder, designed specifically to corrupt and clog a golden core cultivator's spiritual power. Elder Leafire lets out a cry of pain, and backhands the mantis, smashing it to pieces, but he finds, in horror, that the entire left side of his body has gone numb, and his golden core's rotation has begun to falter. Damn it! Damn it! Elder Leafire erupts with pure rage. He, a golden core elder of the Red Lotus sect, wounded by an insect. I will slaughter every last one of you. I will tear the soul from every ant in this ground and grind it to ash. He goes berserk, no longer rationing his spiritual energy, hurling high-tier spells in every direction. Seas of fire spreading, bolts of lightning crashing down. The entire battlefield turned into a living hell in seconds. But I have achieved exactly what I wanted. To drain him. I am trading countless insect lives for this golden core monster's spiritual energy, his reserves, his condition. Every point he weakens, my odds of victory grow. Deep underground, I wipe the blood from the corner of my mouth, the backlash from my avatar's death. My eyes grow colder still. Be patient, old man. The best part is still coming. I turn my gaze in the holographic projection to another figure, Zhao Tianxing. By now, the sword formation has shattered and the battlefield is chaos. Zhao Tianxing is leading a handful of trusted disciples in a desperate attempt to break through, trying to make it back to the ship. Running? I rise to my feet, my bone wings spread open, with a sharp metallic scrape. Since you came all this way, you may as well stay. I need a living guide, someone to take me to the Red Lotus sect so I can settle my debt with Luo Qingsheng. I do not rush out directly. Instead, I activate my Godhead mental link once more. This time, my target is not an insect. It is a female disciple standing close to Zhao Tianxing. That disciple was bitten by a phantasm moth earlier. She seems fine, but I have already planted a mental trigger in her nervous system. Now, in the middle of the breakout, Zhao Tianxing is fully focused on fighting off the corpse worm tank barreling toward him from the front. "Senior brother, behind you!" The female disciple suddenly cries out, rushing forward as if to shield him. Zhao Tianxing feels a flash of warmth, just about to say, "Be careful," when a jet black bone spike slides from the disciple's sleeve, one I planted inside her body in advance. Thud! The spike drives hard into Zhao Tianxing's lower back, punching through to his kidney. His scale armor offers some protection, but this spike is razor sharp and angled with surgical precision, finding the exact gap between the armor plates. "You!" Zhao Tianxing stares in disbelief, eyes fixed on the junior disciple he'd always been fondest of. A strange smile spreads across her face. "Senior brother, stay and keep us company." The words barely leave her mouth before her body swells. Boom! She self-detonates. The blast is not devastating, but the shockwave launches Zhao Tianxing through the air and drops him directly into a pit that collapses open beneath him. No! Elder Leafire sees it from a distance and his eyes go wide with fury. Zhao Tianxing is the sect leader's only son. If he dies here, no punishment could ever be enough for what Elder Leafire would face. He lunges to help, but tens of thousands of aerial troops surge up from everywhere, forming a thick wall of bodies. That locks him down completely. In the darkness at the bottom of the pit, Zhao Tianxing lies dazed and battered. He struggles to rise, and a massive foot, cold and armored in black shell, slams down onto his chest. Crack! His ribs give way. Zhao Tianxing looks up in terror, straining to see by the faint glow of his spiritual light. He makes out the creature standing on him, a demon, half human, half insect, a golden crystal embedded in its chest, 6 wings spread wide at its back like the Lord of Hell itself. The monster lowers its head, opens a maw lined with razor fangs and speaks in perfect human speech. Long time no see, Zhao, or should I call you the man who got left holding the bag? That voice, that tone. Zhao Tianxing's pupils contract to pinpoints. You're Han Yang. You actually survived. I grin, baring my pale fangs. Thanks to you two, I didn't just survive. I'm living better than ever. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Zhao Tianxing coughs blood, desperately trying to channel his spiritual energy and fight back. Han Yang was refined and destroyed by Luo Qingcheng. Soul and all. Whatever you are, how dare you impersonate him? Smack! My backhand, spines and all, strips the skin and flesh clean off half of Zhao Tianxing's face. Zhao Tianxing screams. Impersonate? I crouch down, my compound eyes locked onto him. Let me refresh your memory. 3 years ago at the Tianjiang Pavilion, you gifted Luo Qingcheng a 9-ben spirit ginseng to win her favor. Stolen from your own father's private vault, wasn't it? And the day they refined me, you stood right there fanning the flames and said, Senior brother Han's spiritual root really is premium fire type. Burn so bright. I have forgotten not a single word. Zhao Tianxing trembles head to toe as if he is staring at a ghost. Only the people who were there could know these things. You really are Han Yang. You've turned into a monster. Yes, I have become a monster, I say, gripping Zhao Tianxing's jaw in my hand and forcing a dark red pill between his teeth. And I have you to thank for it. Without that refinement, I never would have earned the ancient god's blessing. The pill dissolves the instant it touches his tongue. Zhao Tianxing finds in horror that his core has been sealed. He cannot even self-detonate, and a horrifying itch is spreading from deep within his bones, as if 10,000 ants are gnawing at them from the inside. That is the 10,000 ant heart-gnawing pill, a poison I developed by combining my past life's alchemy knowledge with this life's toxicology. Kill me! Kill me! Zhao Tianxing writhes in agony on the ground, clawing his own skin until it bleeds raw. Death? I watch him without expression. That would be too easy. I want you alive. I want you to watch with your own eyes as I tear the Red Lotus sect out by the roots. By now, the battle on the surface has reached its peak intensity. Elder Leafire, though bogged down, is still a golden core cultivator. At the cost of half his life force burning through his lifespan, he finally unleashes his ultimate technique. Red Lotus Hellfire. The Hellfire ignites. Devastating waves of flame sweep outward in every direction from his body. Tens of thousands of my insect forces are reduced to ash. Even the fortified outer wall of my stronghold is burned halfway to rubble. Release Tianxing, or I will tear you apart piece by piece. Elder Leafire's roar punches through the earth and reaches my ears directly. He must have sensed Zhao Tianxing's life force rapidly fading. Old man, tougher than expected. I haul Zhao Tianxing up by the collar, limp as a dead dog. My bone wings snap open and I launch skyward. Wanna save him? Come and get him. I streak upward like a black meteor, bursting through the surface and hovering in midair. I hold Zhao Tianxing in one hand, my bone blade in the other, and fix my eyes coldly on Elder Leafire across the field. Tianxing. Elder Leafire sees Zhao Tianxing's mangled state and his heart seizes with pain. Monster, release him, and I will leave your corpse intact. Ha, I laugh. Leave my corpse intact? You can barely protect your own. At that very moment, the massive flying vessel, the Qing Luan, suddenly erupts into chaos. The ship, which had been holding steady in the air, begins to shake violently. Its protective barrier flickers wildly, then snuffs out with a dull pop. What is happening? Elder Leafire spins around in alarm, eyes snapping to the ship. The deck of the vessel is crawling with parasite demon bees and acid slime. He has no idea when they got there. And at the ship's power core, beside the massive spirit stone furnace, several inconspicuous metal-devouring beetles, each no larger than a fingernail, are frantically chewing through the key rune arrays that control the vessel. This is my Trojan horse. Back when the battle began, I used the high-altitude bomber beetles as cover to drop these metal-devouring beetles directly into the ship's exhaust vents. They crawled through the ducts and into the core chamber, and now they have just chewed through the last fuse holding the ship together. Rumble! The powerless vessel lets out a dying groan, its massive hull tilting as it plunges toward the ground. The dozens of disciples left aboard scream in terror, tumbling off the sides like scattered dumplings. My ship! Elder Leafire's eyes nearly burst from his skull. That vessel is priceless, a strategic asset belonging to the entire sect. We are not done yet. I deliver the killing stroke. All forces, concentrate fire. The 50 remaining acid artillery units on the ground raise their muzzles in unison and begin charging. Target the falling vessel, fire. 50 thick jets of acid like surface-to-air missiles slam into the ship's completely unprotected underbelly. Boom! The vessel's spirit stone storage ignites. A massive mushroom cloud blooms in midair. The devastating blast wave scours everything within 10 li. Elder Leafire is hurled through the air by the pressure wave, blood spraying from his mouth. The ship destroyed. The disciples annihilated. The young sect master captured. The Red Lotus sect has been utterly completely defeated by the insects they had looked down upon. The smoke clears. I still hover in midair, not a scratch on me. My godhead barrier absorbed the blast. I look across at Elder Leafire, hair wild, aura guttering. Now it is just the two of us. I toss Zhao Tianxing to a nearby aerial mantis to hold. Grip my bone blade in both hands, black demon fire igniting along the blade, the product of my natal pill fire fused with the ancient god's death energy. Old man, your golden core is mine. Elder Leafire gasps for breath, his eyes filled with venomous hatred and despair. He knows he may not walk away from this. The cunning, the methods, the sheer ruthlessness of this creature. He has never seen its equal in his entire life. You want my golden core? Dream on. I will self-detonate and drag you down with me. Elder Leafire's body swells like a balloon, terrifying energy converging at his core. Golden core self-detonation. A cultivator's last resort, with 10 times the destructive force of any normal attack. Self-detonation? A flash of contempt crosses my eyes. Playing with fire in front of an alchemist, you are out of your depth. In the split second before Elder Leafire explodes, I move. Not to flee, not to attack. The Godhead shard on my chest fires a beam of golden light, driving straight into Elder Leafire's brow. Divine authority, bind. The ancient god's will descends, forcibly suppressing the spatial laws around him. Elder Leafire's detonation is frozen in that instant, paused. Only a tenth of a second, but for me it is enough. Flash step. Space warps. I appear directly in front of Elder Leafire. A black armored hand shoots out like lightning and drives straight into Elder Leafire's core. Squelch! That hand ignores his protective spiritual light entirely and closes around the golden sphere, trembling violently, radiating the aura of annihilation. Mine! My palm transforms instantly into a devouring maw and swallows the golden core whole. No! The moment the golden core leaves his body, Elder Leafire collapses like a deflated balloon. His entire lifetime of cultivation now belongs to me. I withdraw my hand and shake off the blood, then close my eyes and feel it. The unfathomably vast energy inside me is being refined at full speed by the universal furnace. My aura climbs higher and higher, shattering bottlenecks and crossing boundaries. Boom! A pillar of black light erupts from my body and spears into the clouds. The spiritual energy around me forms a massive vortex, flooding into me in a torrent. I have evolved again, entering the Calamity Ant Emperor growth stage, what the cultivation world calls the Golden Core Demon King realm. I open my eyes. My compound eyes are gone, replaced by a pair of deep human-like pupils, burning with golden flame. I survey the ravaged battlefield and the body strewn across it. This is war. This is evolution. Clean up the battlefield, I order. Calm as still water. 3 days of rest. After that we move out. Our target, the Red Lotus sect. Boom, the deeper we descend underground, the clearer that deep rhythmic pulse becomes. Every beat lands like a hammer blow on the soul. The air around us is no longer air. It is a pale red mist, so thick with spiritual energy it is almost liquid. I walk at the front. Behind me follows Zhao Tianxing, face ashen, eyes hollow. Around Zhao Tianxing's neck is a living collar, a horned shark barnacle. One passing thought from me, and its barbs will sever his carotid artery in an instant. How much farther? Zhao Tianxing's voice trembles as he stares around in dread. The environment has changed completely. Gone are the hard black stone, dried skin, and purple muscle formations. The walls around us have become semi-transparent milky membranes, covered in a complex web of glowing vessels like luminous tree roots. The floor beneath our feet is warm and yielding. Every step sinks slightly, as if we are walking across the organs of something colossal. Shut up! My reply is ice cold. My compound eyes have taken human form, but in combat mode they still activate. Compound eye vision floods my mind with cascading data. Warning! High energy reaction ahead. Ancient god immune system detected. Activity level 300%. We are here. I stop. Ahead stands a massive fleshy valve, like two colossal gates sealed shut, 100 zang tall. Natural great Tao patterns are carved across its surface, radiating a sacred aura that makes the soul recoil. This is the heart gate. Zhao Tianxing sinks to the ground. Legend says the ancient god's heart holds the Tao fruit from his life. 300 years the Red Lotus sect searched for this entrance, and it was at the end of a drainage channel all along. Open it, I command. I can't open it, Zhao Tianxing stammers. It would take nascent soul stage power to force it. Who said anything about forcing it? I walk to the fleshy gate and press my black armored hand against it. The Godhead shard on my chest flares to life. I simulate the ancient god's own neural signal. I am a part of you. Open. Rumble. The massive gate senses the kindred aura and slowly peels open to both sides. A blinding wall of golden light floods our vision. Then comes a roar of fury. Not a sound, but a thought burst. Intruders, purge. Two enormous figures stride from the light. 50 meters tall, their bodies composed entirely of pure white radiance, featureless except for a single dark gash of a mouth. Spears of light gripped in their hands. Wings of light at their backs as pure as angels, yet radiating absolute killing intent. These are the ancient god's white blood cells, the pale guardians, the most powerful defense mechanism within the ancient god's body, each one equal in power to a peak late-stage golden core cultivator. Intruders, virus, eliminate. The left pale guardian takes one step and crosses 100 meters in an instant, its light spear blazing with purifying white flame driving straight for me. Protect our emperor. 200 black iron guards behind me charge forward without hesitation, but against power of this magnitude they are moths flying into a flame. The light spear sweeps sideways, 50 guards are vaporized. Not even ash remains. Too powerful. Zhao Tianxing is frozen in pure terror. This is the power of a god. We are all going to die. Shut up. I do not retreat. The battle fire in my eyes only burns fiercer. In the past, I could not have beaten them. But now, I spread my arms wide. Universal furnace, reverse virus release. Boom! A torrent of black mist surges from my body. This is no ordinary mist. It is hundreds of millions of nanoscale creatures invisible to the naked eye. God-devouring mites. The ultimate microscopic unit I cultivated by consuming countless bacteria and fungi on my journey here. The black mist engulfs the pale guardians in an instant. What is this? Their radiance begins to flicker as the god-devouring mites tear into their energy structures, converting the sacred into the rotten. Feast, my children! At my command, the 10 chimera behemoths behind me, ravenous and barely restrained, upgraded successors to my original Ant Queen guards, roar and charge forward. Wrapping around the pale guardian's legs, jaws open wide, tearing and ripping without mercy. The behemoths sizzle and char under the holy light, but they do not stop. They bite and tear and refuse to die. I seize the opening and move. Flash step, void strike. I become a black lightning bolt, appearing instantly above the right pale guardian's head, my bone blade condensing every ounce of my power, spirit, and will into a single downward cut. Crack! The pale guardian's once indestructible head of light, eaten hollow by the god-devouring mites within, has become brittle and splits in two. Pure white energy liquid geysers out like a fountain. Mine! I open my maw wide, like a leviathan drinking the sea, and swallow every drop of that high-purity light energy. White sacred patterns spread across my black armor in an instant. Light and darkness. One body. The battle lasts a quarter of an hour. Both pale guardians dissolve completely. I have paid a heavy price. All black iron guards annihilated, only one chimera behemoth remaining. But I won, and I am stronger for it. I kick aside the remains at my feet and lead the shell-shocked Zhao Tianxing into the heart chamber. There, suspended in midair, is a heart. A colossal heart blazing like a sun. Its surface flowing with essence blood like rivers of magma. Every beat sends ripples through the space around it. The ancient god's heart! The greed in my eyes is almost overflowing. This is not merely power. It is a leap in the very tier of existence, the key to becoming something beyond gods and demons. Zhao, look at that. Beautiful, isn't it? I turn and reveal a demon smile. To thank you for showing me the way, I have decided to grant you an honor. You will become the seasoning for this heart. No, please. I am the young sect master of the Red Lotus sect. I can give you limitless resources. Zhao Tianxing screams in despair, but my patience ran out long ago. I seize Zhao Tianxing and hurl him at the massive heart. The instant Zhao Tianxing's body touches the golden light on the heart's surface, he is instantly broken down into the most primal of particles. That final piercing scream becomes the opening note of this ritual of evolution. Blood calls to blood. Soul refines soul. I walk toward the heart step by step. My body begins to come apart, shell fracturing, flesh dissolving. I do not resist. Instead, I offer every inch of my flesh, every thread of my soul, without reservation, into the ancient god's heart. Universal furnace, maximum output. Refine myself. Only through madness does one truly live. All or nothing. The heart chamber collapses. The entire ancient god's corpse shakes violently. Outside, the landscape for 1,000 meters in every direction is transforming beyond recognition. The heart's light contracts, then expands, and finally becomes a black void, a darkness that swallows all light. At the black void's center, a new life is being born. A calamity ant emperor that has truly transcended the boundaries of species is about to arrive. Red Lotus Sect, Main Peak Plaza. Today is the Red Lotus Sect's once-in-a-century heaven offering ceremony. Red carpets line the ground, celestial music fills the air. Thousands of disciples stand in neat formation, gazing up at the breathtaking figure on the high platform. Luo Qingzheng. She is no longer the little junior sister who once trailed behind Han Yang. She wears a blazing crimson feathered gown and a phoenix crown, radiating the powerful aura of a late-stage golden core cultivator. In the 3 years since Han Yang's disappearance, she has used the Heaven Man creation pill forged from his refinement to advance at a breathtaking pace, and has been designated the next sect leader of the Red Lotus sect. Beside her sits an elder with white hair and a youthful face, a nascent soul early-stage master, the Red Lotus Patriarch. Qingzheng, after today you shall be my direct successor. The Red Lotus Patriarch strokes his beard and smiles, and when young Tianxing returns with the treasures of the ancient god ruins, that shall be the day of your wedding. A flicker of barely concealed disgust crosses Luo Qingzheng's eyes, but her smile remains flawless. Many thanks, Patriarch. I only hope senior brother Zhao returns safely. What she is actually thinking. That useless fool can die out there for all I care. The ancient god's treasure belongs to me alone. Then, thoom! A deep, muffled blast, as if from the heart of the earth, cuts through the ceremonial music. Everyone feels it. The mountain beneath their feet is shaking. An earthquake? No, look at the sky. A disciple points upward in terror. The clear sky darkens all at once. Not storm clouds, a mountain, an inverted black mountain slowly descending from above. It is the ancient god's corpse. It has torn free of the earth, risen tens of thousands of meters into the sky, blotting out the sun and casting its massive shadow over the gates of the Red Lotus sect. We are under attack. Activate the sect protective formation. The Red Lotus Patriarch's expression transforms, his nascent soul divine sense sweeping skyward, and it is repelled. The corpse mountain is wrapped in a dense biological force field composed of countless insects. What in the world is that? Before anyone can process it, the sky is falling from that inverted corpse mountain. Countless black droplets begin to fall. Only when they draw close does anyone realize those are not droplets. They are thousands upon thousands of airdrop capsules. Boom! The capsules slam into the Red Lotus sect's barrier, detonating into clouds of green acid and purple toxic mist. The protective formation's light curtain flickers violently, letting out a strained creaking groan. Then something far worse arrives. Hundreds of Leviathan transport worms the size of whales burst through the clouds, opening massive cargo holds in their bellies, and a dense swarm of black shapes pours down like a plague of locusts. Aerial fighters, sky hunter mantises, bomber bats. This is not merely a bug swarm. This is a battle-hardened, fully armed interstellar fleet. Attack! Attack now! Luo Qingzheng screams, summoning her flying sword, cutting down a few stray flying insects. There are too many. They cover the sky, endless and without limit. Every insect's eyes burn with the same cold red light, as if driven by a single will. Crack! A corner of the sect protective formation is finally torn open by the relentless bombardment of bomber mites. The swarm finds its breach and surges in like a black flood, pouring into the plaza in an instant. Screams, the sounds of flesh being torn, spell explosions. All of it erupts into the sky at once. The plaza that was a sacred celestial ground moments ago has become a slaughterhouse in the blink of an eye. Those cultivators who had always looked down on the world now stand before the insect tide like lambs awaiting slaughter. Wretched beast, you dare? The Red Lotus Patriarch finally makes his move. He steps into the air, and behind him a colossal flame, Dharma form erupts. Red Lotus Hellfire, burn the 8 wastelands, go! A sea of flame sweeps across the sky, incinerating tens of thousands of insects in an instant. The might of a nascent soul cultivator, terrifying beyond measure. The swarm's advance staggers. A mindless mob of insects dares to assault my Red Lotus sect. The Red Lotus Patriarch sneers. But at that moment a cold and mocking voice rings out across heaven and earth. It is not loud, yet it cuts through every sound of battle, piercing clean into every single person's ears. Old man, your fire is still so small. The Red Lotus Patriarch snaps his head upward. From the inverted corpse mountain above, a throne slowly descends. A throne built from the bones of countless cultivators. Upon it sits a man. He wears dark gold heavy armor, 9 black void energy halos hovering at his back. His face strikingly beautiful yet otherworldly, a vertical eye embedded in his brow, radiating a divine authority that freezes the soul. In my hand, I idly turn something that is still pulsing, Zhao Tianxing's severed head. The instant Luo Qingcheng sees that face, she is struck as if by lightning. Her flying sword clangs to the ground, her face drains to white in an instant, her lips trembling as she forces out the name she thought had vanished from the world forever. Han Yang! I recline on the throne, gazing down at this master and disciple from on high. My gaze passes over the Red Lotus Patriarch and comes to rest on Luo Qingcheng's face. What a gaze it is. No rage, no hysteria, only the calm of a man looking at a corpse, and the cruelty of a cat playing with its prey. Qingcheng, I'm back. I toss Zhao Tianxing's head down casually. It rolls to a stop right at Luo Qingcheng's feet. Zhao Tianxing's eyes are still open, staring up at her in permanent accusation. Luo Qingcheng screams and stumbles backward. You are that discarded wretch who was refined? A flash of disbelief crosses the Red Lotus Patriarch's eyes. Impossible! You were destroyed, body and soul, and that demonic aura. What are you? Human or ghost? Human ghost! I rise slowly from the throne. As I move, the 9 black void halos at my back spin into a frenzy, the space around me beginning to fracture, and a terrifying aura that surpasses nascent soul and presses towards spirit transformation erupts with a thunderous roar. I am the Insect Emperor, crawled back from hell itself to collect what you owe me. All forces, hear my order. I raise my hand and press it gently downward. Spare no one, except these 2. Empowered by the Emperor's will, the remaining million-strong swarm erupts into a frenzy, their bodies swelling again, attack speed tripling in an instant. The true slaughter begins. The Red Lotus sect is finished. A major cultivation sect that had stood for 1,000 years is reduced to rubble in less than an hour. Crumbling walls everywhere, bones picked clean everywhere. The sect's guardian river has become a river of blood, reflecting the black ancient god corpse mountain in the sky above. At the summit of the main peak, the final battlefield, the Red Lotus Patriarch is drenched in blood, hair wild and loose. His flame dharma form has been shredded. One arm is gone, and across from him I hover in midair, not a fold of clothing disturbed. Nascent soul! I shake my head, eyes full of disappointment. Is that all? Since devouring the ancient god's heart, my existence has reached an entirely different tier. Every attack the Red Lotus Patriarch lands on me is automatically absorbed and converted by my divine barrier. This is not even a fight between the same order of beings. I will take you down with me. The Red Lotus Patriarch knows he is going to die. A flash of resolve crosses his eyes. His nascent soul bursts from the crown of his head, becoming a golden figure no bigger than a palm. Clutching its life-bound Red Lotus, charging straight at me. Nascent soul self-detonation. A destructive force 100 times more terrifying than golden core detonation. Enough to bury 100 kilometers in every direction alongside him. Self-detonation? Did you ask my permission? A faint smirk crosses my lips. I extend my right hand and close it around empty air where the nascent soul charges. Divine art. Spatial prison. The ancient god commanded spatial law, and I have inherited that. The space around the Red Lotus Patriarch's nascent soul suddenly solidifies, forming a transparent cubic box. No matter how the nascent soul hurls itself against the walls or detonates its energy inside, it is locked within that palm-sized space. The explosion flares for a moment inside the box, then dies out. Come here, I beckon, and the cube containing the nascent soul drifts back into my hand. Inside, the tiny golden figure beats against the walls in terror, its mouth open in a soundless wail. A nascent soul, quite the delicacy. Deeply nourishing. Ah, woo! I open wide and swallow the cube, nascent soul and all, as easily as swallowing a piece of soft candy. Gulp! A wave of warmth spreads through every part of me. Devoured a nascent soul early-stage cultivator, obtained fire law fragment. Soul strength increased by 10%. I pat my stomach, and my gaze finally comes to rest on the last remaining member of the Red Lotus sect. By now, Luo Qingcheng has collapsed to the ground, every trace of her former radiance gone. Having watched her master's nascent soul devoured like a snack, her Tao foundation has completely shattered. As I walk toward her, she instinctively forces a seductive smile, pulling open her torn collar to expose pale skin. Han! Senior brother Han, it's me, Qingcheng, your Qingcheng. I was forced into it. Master made me do it. If you spare me, I will be your slave, your cultivation vessel. I am still a pure maiden. My nascent soul can help your cultivation. She crawls toward me like a dog, reaching to grab my leg. I look down at her, at this face that once haunted my every waking thought, that later drove me to the edge of despair, and that now only makes me feel sick. A cultivation vessel? I laugh, and the laugh is ice cold. Luo Qingcheng, did you forget? I am an alchemist. I crouch down and lift her chin with my cold black armored hand. An alchemist understands one thing above all else: cause and effect. What goes in must come back out. You used me as a material to forge the Heaven Man creation pill. Today, I use you as a material to forge a pill of my own. That seems fair, doesn't it? No, please, no! Luo Qingcheng's pupils dilate as she shakes her head frantically. Please, just kill me. Give me a clean death. A clean death? That would be far too easy. I stand. With a wave of my hand, several engineering insects come crawling forward. They drag a massive transparent biocultivation chamber behind them. My insect forces still lack one thing: a core, a broodmother capable of producing a constant stream of high-grade spiritual energy eggs. I point to the chamber. Your fire spiritual root is quite good. I will take your golden core and use it to hatch my flame-burst worms. To the sound of Luo Qingcheng's despairing screams, several guards extract her golden core and seal it inside the chamber. The sun sets in the west. its dying light the color of blood. The Red Lotus sect has ceased to exist entirely, replaced by a massive pulsing insect hive. The ancient god's corpse slowly descends, merging with the Red Lotus sect's main peak, becoming a new sacred ground. I sit on the highest throne of bones, and beneath my feet stretches 100 million strong insect army in submission. Behind me, Lul Qingcheng, remade into a broodmother, weeps without sound, laying egg after egg, each one burning with flame. I raise my eyes to the distance, to the vast cultivation world beyond, with its 10 great sects, its spirit transformation monsters, and even the legendary gateway to the immortal realm. None of it matters now, because the calamity has already arrived. I slowly raise my hand and point toward the horizon. That single gesture, a declaration of war against the entire world. I came, I saw, I conquered, and now, I am the calamity itself.